That's how I got to Memphis. That's how I got to Memphis. We're not going to Memphis today. We're going to Atlantic City. Or more precisely, we're going to talk about going to Atlantic City. Or even more precisely, we're going to talk about having gone to Atlantic City. Several years ago, and by several I mean longer ago than I can remember, a bunch of us took a trip to Atlantic City. Now, I don't know where you are. I imagine if you live in someplace like Des Moines, you probably don't have bus trips to Atlantic City, but around here we do. They go down regularly. You can either, I don't know if the, haven't looked at that kind of stuff recently, but if they might have like a weekly thing or whatever, and you catch a bus and go down, and or sometimes there'll be like a organization, like say VFW. Somebody like that might do one like for their members. But generally, the way it works, I remember when we went, I think it cost like $30 to go, and then when you got there, they gave you like $25 to gamble with, and you got the free buffet. So it's pretty much like the actual bus ride was free. But I'm sure well, of course, the bus companies were getting their $30 or however much it cost. It was the casino that was making it free so that they give you your $30 so they can take a couple hundred back off of you basically. But anyway, I don't think I have to really explain all that to you people too much. Even you dumber ones understand that kind of. So we somehow got the idea. Hey, let's a bunch of us go to Atlantic City. And now the best I can remember, and in conversation with other people, I believe it was me, my brother Rick, and our mother Mom, and then there was Ellie and Corrigan. And when I was talking to Corrigan, we were 50-50 thinking that Gene went along. And so we all, got tickets to go down the same day. And I think I actually, I think I bought 2 seats so I'd be more comfortable. And that was nice because then I sat there and I had my like duffel bag and took a spare shirt with me and stuff so that I changed my shirt. I wore like a comfortable riding shirt and then went to Lake City and wore something fancy like this. Anyway, one of the things about the trip, though, that nobody else on the bus knew about but me, I also secretly arranged for my sister Barb and her husband Alan, who live in New York, to meet us there. And I remember, well, before I get to that part, we'll talk about the trip going down. Now, one of the lucky things about the way it's set up is where we are was pretty much the northernmost part of the route for the bus. So we were the first ones to get on because they had several stops to pick up people. So, of course, they started with the farthest north and then they stopped on the way down. So we got, we had to be a little earlier, but when it was, I think the bus was like 4 or 5 in the morning. So, getting to save, 15 minutes or half an hour or whatever wasn't going to make a whole lot of difference anyway. But we got to then, we got our pick of seats. And as people got on going down, they had less and less options for where they sat. And I remember at one of the stops, there was like 3 or 4 guys got on, and I'm thinking that might have been State College, but it doesn't make a whole lot of difference. And one of the things about them is, as soon as they got on, the whole time they were talking. Now, of course, people are allowed to talk, but they weren't just sitting there saying things like, "Oh, I'm going to go down, I'm going to play some poker, and I bet you I win a lot of money." They were talking like this. "Hey, did you guys watch that game yesterday?" They're sitting right next to each other and they're talking loud. And like I said, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. So at one point, I finally just turned around and I very calmly and politely said, "Would you people please shut up for a while?" And they didn't seem to like that, but they did shut up, so all was good. And I remember, I think it was at the very last stop of people getting on. There was a lady that got on, and she says, "Buenas noches, everybody." She said, "I just came back from Mexico, and that's how you say good morning in Mexican." And I just sort of laughed to myself about it. But isn't that just like the stereotypical American tourist? The only thing I'm surprised is she didn't say she went to Mexico. A lot of times when people do trips like that, they come back and they try to sound like all, native. "I went to Mexico and learned how to speak Mexican." I just didn't learn how to match up the Mexican with the time of the day. Anyway, so then as we're going down, and like I said, Barb and Alan were driving down then to meet us there. And I think we were going to the Tropicana. So as we were hitting the Atlantic City outskirts, I called Barb and I pretended I was calling her at home in New York. And because, of course, everybody from our group was sitting near each other so they could overhear me. And I pretended I was like taunting her. I was like, "Hey, guess where I am? I'm just now pulling into Atlantic City on the bus. It's a really nice day. You can see the ocean." And what I was really doing was letting her know, okay, we're almost there. So we got to what I believe is the Tropicana, and we went into where the buses unload. And I was letting other people get off first and that, and I could hear Ellie get off the bus, and I hear her screech, "Oh my God, Barb!" So the secret was out. So that was fun. And we all kind of went our separate ways in the casino. I think people kind of paired up and stuff. But I was the only one. I went to hit the blackjack tables because I can't really sit at the machines all day. And speaking of the machines, they've ruined those, at least as far as I've heard. It used to be fun to, like I said, I wouldn't sit there all the time, but I would play a little. And, it was fun to like put the quarters or silver dollars or whatever you were playing in there and pull the thing, and if you won, the bell went off and the coins came out and that little. Now I guess you just like put your credit card in there and you sit there hitting the button. I mean, that's great for the gambling addicts, but it's not a fun game anymore. But anyway, like I said, it doesn't matter a whole lot to me because that's not my game anyhow. I went to play blackjack. I didn't have the nerve for poker. I don't know. I don't know how I would have done in poker. But I played blackjack. Oh, and the one thing we did do before we went our separate ways was set a time to meet for have lunch together. So anyway, I was doing good at blackjack, and took a break, went over to the buffet, and I remember it was a good buffet. I can't remember what all they had, but it was a big selection. It was good food. I mean, considering that it was technically free, say technically because, of course, they might not charge you for the food, but they're figuring on getting the money from you back at the tables anyway. But anyway, we did that, and then we went out, decided to walk the boardwalk a little bit. And I remember a bunch of us that were there, we got to talking to this guy that was on like a scooter, the old people scooters, the motorized thing. And he had, oh, I forget what are they called, not the colostomy, but the one that you pee into. Yeah, I can't think of it anyway, you know what I mean. But and the thing was leaking. I guess the tube must have been loose or something. But we were there like talking to the guy about something or other. I think he had just like sort of pulled up and started talking to us. I don't know. But anyway, Barb and Alan had been down the street and they came walking up. And Alan saw this fluid leaking. And I think he thought that it was like hydraulic fluid or something. And Alan's a bit of a mechanic and he's like, "Oh, hey, buddy, your chair's leaking there. Want me to fix that for you?" And we were like, "No, Alan, Alan, no, no, no." Because we knew he was about to get himself a handful of piss. But anyway, and he like stopped and okay. Then after, when the guy drove off, we said to him, that wasn't fluid. Anyway, that was fun. Then we went back to finish off the day in the casino. And I went back to my blackjack. And I forget exactly. When I think about how much I won, I'm not sure. I keep telling people that first time I won $1,200. But I may be combining two trips together. I'm not sure. But anyway, I did come out. I won several $100s, which was nice. And now, let me just throw this in there. Me with gambling, even like on this trip, I think we scheduled this so that I know I was taking my income tax refund with me. But I, I don't look at gambling as an investment. Some people seem to think, okay, I'm going to go there with $500 and come back with 20,000 or whatever. I look at it as an entertainment expense. So if I lose, I might be disappointed, but I'm not, destroyed by it because I don't really expect to come back with more money than I left with. So the fact that I did win was good. And it was really my day because when it was time to go catching the bus, I was going by, there was a 50-cent machine. And just a side note, I don't know why, but 50-cent piece was always my favorite coin. I collected coins for a while and had a pretty nice collection, but back when I was in between my unemployment running out and Social Security starting, I ended up having to sell most of it off, but that's beside the point. But I always liked 50-cent pieces, and I especially liked the Ben Franklin 50-cent pieces. But anyway, so there was a 50-cent machine, and I put, I don't know if just put like one 50-cent piece in, or I probably had to make change, so I probably put like two in at once or whatever, however it worked. But I hit, and I got, I think, like $25 in 50-cent pieces. So it was a nice, little bonus on the way out, along with the hundreds that I got at the blackjack table. Um, I do remember when I was playing blackjack. At one point, I think I had a 16, and I hit it, and I got a 4 or whatever. And this lady sitting next to me was pissed because she felt like I took her card. Um, the other thing too, as the day went on, I was playing two hands at once. But that's anyway. I do remember when we got down to where we were catching the bus, and there was these girls there who were like probably like college age, because I think you have to be. Yeah, I think you just had to be 18 to gamble. I don't think 21. But anyway, um, and they were there, and they'd obviously had a good time. They were talking and laughing, and the one of them had a bag. She'd hit a quarter machine, and the bag burst, and all her quarters went all over the sidewalk, and people helped her gather them up and stuff. And anyway, I was there talking to my group, and everybody was talking about how they did, and I said, "Oh, I did really well." So we get on the bus, and one of the talky guys, he got on like the same time we did, and then later on, his buddy gets on, and he says to the guy that got on first, he said, "How'd you do?" And he said, "Oh no, I didn't, I did bad." And he said, "Me too." And he said, "From talking to people," he says, "It sounds like nobody on the bus did any good." And the other guy says to him, he goes, "Well, somebody did." I'm pointing at me. And I think that was even more fun to me than the actual winning of the money, because just how much it annoyed them that I was the one who made the money. But anyway, this might be one of those you had to be there things, but we all had a good time. It was a fun trip. I remember we stopped on the way home at like a Denny's or something to eat. And of course, being the big winner, I didn't even offer to buy everybody else's meals, screw them. But the whole thing of surprising them with Barb was cool. Oh, one other, something I wanted to mention about when we were at the buffet. Our waiter, I think he must have been Puerto Rican, and he kept calling my mother Mommy, and she hated that. She was like, "I wish he'd stop calling me that." And she didn't realize that he meant it as like a term of endearment. I think it must be what a shortened form of Mamacita, maybe. But that's just his way of saying ma'am or whatever, to an elderly. But she was hearing it as Mommy, and it's like, why is he calling me mommy? But that was a little funny. Anyway, then we stopped the way home and ate and got home, and then slept for the next 5 days. I remember I did 2 more bus trips after that. I can't remember who all went on the others. That was the only time that like Barb came down and met us, and I think that was the only trip my mother went on. But some of us did again. But I remember the second time I went, I won again. I got like $400 or $500. The third time I went down. I think I had like $400 on me, and I lost it all before it was even time for lunch. So I spent the rest of the day pretty much out on the boardwalk and that. But and of course it was a little sad. But like I said, first of all, I look at that as an entertainment expense, and also I decide, well, you know what? If I never go back, then it was still their money. I figured I was playing with their money because I'd won the first two times, so they got a little of theirs back, but I still came out on the plus side, and all in all. So that was the trip to Atlantic City, and hope you enjoyed it. I know if Rick and Corrigan and Barb watch this, they'll probably enjoy the memory. Unfortunately, oh, and Alan too. Forgot to mention Alan. He and Barb are no longer together, but he's still alive. Um, but like my mom and Ellie and Jean are all dead now. So I'll just leave you on that little high note, huh? And peace out.